The Ohio Department of Education presents the revisions of Ohio's learning standards for English language arts. My name is Stacy Ludwig, and I'm an English language arts education program specialist in the Office of Curriculum and Assessment. The focus of this PowerPoint is to outline the standards revision process that the Ohio Department of Education undertook throughout 2016, to describe the main revisions to Ohio's learning standards for English language arts, and to discuss next steps as we move toward implementing the revised standards in Ohio classrooms. First, we will briefly look at the standards revision process. The revision process included two groups that reviewed the public comments and made edits to the standards. The advisory committee was made up of representatives from key external educational groups and professional organizations that represent Ohio leaders in education. This group examined the feedback surveys submitted by the stakeholders and provided direction to the working group on how to proceed with the suggestions provided. Each working group was made up of grade-level content experts who worked under the direction and guidance of the advisory committee to make the proposed revisions to the standards. The goals for the revision process were to value the work that teachers and districts have put into the standards for the last 6 years, including aligning the local curriculum to the standards and hours of professional development, to improve the standards instead of throwing them out and starting over from scratch, and to create a process that would allow us to periodically update the standards. Again, we did not want to discard the standards and start over. We wanted to build on them and improve them. The review of the standards focused on 3 main topics. The first topic was clarity. These were revisions to ensure that the standards were clear, easy to understand, and used proper terminology. The second topic was content, which identified subject matter inaccuracies within the standards. And the third topic, grade level appropriateness, dealt with the quality of ability and work that is appropriate for students in a specific grade. There were several key components of the standards revision process. The first step was to obtain stakeholder feedback from the community submitted through an online survey. This information was reviewed by the advisory committee, who then provided recommendations for revisions to the grade band working groups. After the first round of work on the standards was completed, the revised standards were put out for comment and feedback. This data was reviewed by the advisory committee and used by the working groups to refine the edits. At this point, we will provide you with a brief overview of the revisions to the English language arts standards. Most of the English language arts standards revisions from the working group were related to 6 topics. These include theme and summary, mood, point of view, perspective, reader response, and thesis. The types of edits for each of the topics are identified with more detail in the English Language Arts Standards Revision Highlights document that is posted on the Standards Revision web pages and outlined on our new English Language Arts Frequently Asked Questions page on our department website. The theme and summary topic, Standard 2 in the Reading Literature and Reading Informational Text strands, was revised in 2 ways. First, the standards were each separated into substandards to clarify expectations. And secondly, language was added to Substandard B to make a clear connection between determining theme and writing a summary of the text. This is an example of a standard revision in the theme and summary topic. Here, you see Reading Literature Standard 2 for grade 7. The original standard states, to determine theme or central idea of a text and analyze its development over the course of the text, provide an objective summary of the text. The revised standard states, analyze literary text development. A, determine a theme of a text and analyze its development over the course of the text. and B, incorporate the development of a theme and other story details into an objective summary of the text. At the request of the working group, the department also created a guidance document for this standard that described the components for writing an effective objective summary. Through many comments, the public requested that mood be added to the standards. Since the comments were placed with many different standards, the working groups determined that the best place in the standards progression for this edition would be Reading Literature Standard 4, which also deals with identifying tone. Introductory language for mood was added in grades 6 and 7, with the term mood added from grades 8 to 12. The next major revision topic dealt with standards related to point of view and perspective. In all standards that contain the terms point of view and perspective, these terms were redefined and revised to clarify expectations about what the students should know and be able to determine from the text. The first section here shows the new definitions for both point of view and perspective. Secondly, in the reading literature strand, only point of view appears in grades 2 and 3. In grades 4 through 12, students are expected to identify both the point of view and various perspectives in the text, including that of the author, narrators, and characters where applicable. In the reading informational text strand, students are now asked to determine, analyze, and distinguish various perspectives, including the author's and their own. Several general comments related to reading in English language arts were sent to the department during the first survey. The department, along with the working groups, identified these comments as relating to reader response theory. This theory deals with a student's interaction or relationship with the text, which includes his or her personal, cultural, historical, and ethical connections and experiences as a way of deepening understanding of the text that extends beyond literary criticism. This addition was made to Reading Literature Standard 10 at all grade levels. This is the Grade 3 standard. The section of the standard in bold is the Reader Response Addition. Activate prior knowledge and draw on previous experiences in order to make text-to-self or text-to-text connections and comparisons. These connections can be from their family experiences, experiences they've had with friends, or even from books they have previously read that contain similar topics or characters. The department has also created a question and answer section to explain the addition and how this can be implemented in the classroom to help reach every reader. This section is located on our new English Language Arts resource page. The final topic that made up a significant revision to our standards was thesis statements. From public comment and at the direction of the advisory committee, the English Language Arts working groups added establishing a thesis statement to grades 6 through 12 for writing standards dealing with both argumentative and informative explanatory writing tasks. Information and resources to help Ohio educators teach this addition to writing will be located in the revised model curriculum. Some additional minor revisions and decisions spanned several grade levels and topics. These include checking all standards to make sure they align to the revised standards, developing a glossary of terms to clarify content and skills in the standards, hyperlinking resources to the standards document, such as digital literacy and citizenship resources, making technical edits, including corrections to phrasing, punctuation, and outlining conventions, and developing additional resources including a standards crosswalk, standards guidance document, and webcasts about best practice instruction for various topics. These resources can be found on the new English Language Arts content area web pages on the Ohio Department of Education website. In the coming months, districts will begin working on familiarizing themselves with the revised standards and planning professional development to help educators implement these standards in the classrooms. This is the timeline for implementing the revised standards in Ohio classrooms. Please note that Ohio's state tests will reflect the revisions to the standards during the spring 2019 administration, so teachers have time to make sure their students are accustomed to the revised standards before being assessed on them. Follow this link to find resources educators can use to help them learn about and teach the revised standards. The resources listed here are available, plus many more in other sections of our English Language Arts content area web pages. Educators will have access to a PDF and Excel format of the standards document. A crosswalk is available, which outlines and describes the standards revisions, allowing educators to see the 2017 and 2010 standards side by side and identify key differences that will impact instruction. The department has developed a guidance document to help educators with the change to the standards involving theme and summary, and a glossary to clarify English language arts related terms from the web pages and the standards. In addition, the appendices and vertical alignment documents have been updated to reflect the revisions to the standards. If you have any questions about the standards revision process or the revisions themselves, contact one of the English Language Arts consultants that worked on this project with Ohio educators. Thank you for taking the time to explore the revisions to Ohio's learning standards in English Language Arts.